Welcome back to the Resilient Woman podcast. I'm Dr. Phyllis, your host, and today is episode 56. And sis, you have been on my mind. As I tell you, I pray for you all the time because I see you, because I'm right there with you. And I know that your brain is always firing. Your circuits are always firing. If it's not between the pinging of the email, now it's pinging of social media, phone calls at work, new tasks, new projects, you're always responding. And then that gets you on this constant treadmill of reaction. You're always reacting to things. Something comes up, you're trying to figure out how you can fix it or how you can do it. And left unacknowledged, left unaddressed, little things start pushing you over the edge. It's like this pressure of reaction that builds up to the point that someone cuts you off in traffic. You have to pray that you don't start reverend or look at them a certain way or speed up. We see that happen all the time, right? And you can tell people got stuff going on. Your spouse, your significant other, your kids, your other family members, your friends, co-workers in the community, someone says something or does something to you and it hits a nerve so much that you just react and say or do something that is not usually the way you operate. You find yourself upset, saying too much. And often what happens is someone ends up hurt with what you say or what you do or what goes unsaid. And then what happens then? Then you end up feeling bad because that's not you. And you're wondering, where did that come from? First, as I've said before, I want you to stop beating yourself up. But I want you to know, sis, that every day you must create a moment of mindfulness and presence. And let me unpack these two things. They're based on one of my favorite foundational scriptures, Psalm 46:10. As I've shared before, when I was at a crossroads, when I was just down, and when God pulled that electric emergency cord off of the treadmill in my life, and I had to go deep, that was the scripture that came to mind. And I told myself that I had to be still and stop trying to figure out all the answers and let God speak to my heart, direct my path, and most importantly, create presence. So I was present in the moment. Really understanding what was underlying, how I was responding or showing up in life, and also to appreciate the blessings, appreciate the day and the opportunity to be alive one more day, to appreciate having love around me, to appreciate the journey, how far that I've come. And that's what I want you to do. And I want you to not have to go through everything I had to go through, to be still and be present in your life. I want you to really create moments of mindfulness. And really, presence and mindfulness to me is the same thing. It's taking a moment to be where you're at in that moment. And I believe some of the best ways to do that is before you get up in the morning, while you're driving in your car, while you're walking, if you're working out, because I do encourage, when I say workout, sis, I don't want you getting overwhelmed with formal work. No, it could be, I'm going to get up and walk this morning as far as I feel comfortable to go. It may mean making an investment to getting a treadmill in the house. This is a good type of treadmill. It may mean, if you can, taking the stairs at work. It can mean walking, just getting out of your work site for a couple minutes, just for a couple minutes for the sun to hit your face. It could be you have to go sit in your car to get away from the office. Yes, it seems like, oh, I don't want to do that. And if I can just hurry up and get all the work done, if I work through lunch, then I can get out. Or now you and I both know, right? How often does that really work? Even with your door closed, people come knock on your door if they know you're in the office. And how often can you not respond when your phone pings? And I have found often when you just take a moment, it could be 15 minutes, even better if it's 30 minutes, just to take a break, be you outside of work. Take a moment to take a deep breath in and out, even if it's raining. I know if it's the weather's really bad, you may not be able to do it. But if you can and it's safe, do it. Because even walking in the rain helps us tap into our inner child, right? Where we have fun. Even in the snow, if it's safe, it's okay to have fun. It's creating also that moment of mindfulness and being present. When I drive in my car, for all the years that I practiced in home care, the one thing that was a major plus was that time in the car. Yes, we'd be pinged and we'd be talking on the speakerphone, yet in between all of that, I would have my personal development, and even now I continue personal development, podcasts, courses, messages, sermons that I would listen to on replay, music that was inspirational. I would use that time to decompress, to create a moment where I'm not thinking about what I have to do next. And this was very important, and why I feel you can learn from this, because in home care, I'm going from one house to another, one set of a whole family, a patient, their experiences, what's gone on, and It could be a very smooth visit or a visit that is full of a lot of emotion. And I have to be able to disconnect from that visit so that I can then move on to the next home and give them what I have to offer without carrying the last visit over to the current visit. And that's the same thing, sis. It's important that when you leave work and you're going home, maybe you're going home to work on some other things. Maybe you're going home, you have to go to a meeting after work. Maybe you have to go pick up the kids. Maybe you have practices to go to or open house performances, back to school night. You're running on, you're driving on two wheels, or there's so many things we're running to after work. And if you're not careful, all the potential drama, all the emotion, all the energy that you have been extending and expending at work or dealing with in the other situation you're coming from, if you're not careful, you will carry that to when you get home or to the meeting or with your kids. I'm going to tell you, I remember when my kids were small, and there's 6 years between them, so there were some years where they both were with me, when I would pick them up in the evening, and especially when they were small, and I could just sense that they were firing, all their circuits were firing, and they were like, "Rah, rah, 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 rah," and I'm feeling a certain way, and I can remember telling them, "Okay, all of us need to be quiet for a couple minutes. We all are decompensating. So the best thing that all of us could do for each other is just be quiet." And it worked because mama needed a moment to decompensate too, which means bring it down a notch. And that's what I'm encouraging you to do is recognize that it's not about, sis, being the martyr. And you've heard me say this before. And the reason I can say it without being critical or judgmental to you is because that was me. And I have to continually remind myself not to slide back in that because you're like me. We're wired to serve. We're wired to give go the extra mile. And if we're not careful, Satan tries to get in there and it becomes less about the serving and sharing God's gifts to we start feeling like the martyr is the best way to describe it. And what happens when we get in that mode is then we start expecting people to look and understand what we're doing and how we are overextending ourselves for the team, be it the team at work, the team at home, or whatever. And then what happens with that is when our family, our friends, our work does not acknowledge everything that we've been doing, we get upset. And if we're not careful, we can go into a dark place and we start doubting ourselves and getting overwhelmed with life. And that's why it's so important, sis, that you have to daily create a moment for yourself so that you can stay grounded into who God has wired you to be. And also by being present in the moment, you're enjoying and experiencing everything. You're being mindful of where you're at. You're being still in that moment as you are experiencing life. You're at that performance of your children and you're able to say, Lord, thank you so much for them being given this opportunity. And I may not see, well, let me back up. They may not see the benefit of what they're doing. But Lord, you and I know that I'm doing this to plant the seeds in them so that when they get older, they have that foundation. I'm preparing them for the future. The pushing in their schooling, the pushing as all their extracurricular programs. And I can sit back and enjoy that you have blessed me with these children who are able to do these things. This, by them participating, lets me know that my work, my sacrifice is not in vain. Because now you and I, sis, we were that way too. We appreciated our parents, but we also know, and sometimes every parent-child relationship isn't spectacular. So some of you did not have a wonderful relationship with your parents, and I'm very sorry for that. And we know that when we're kids, we take for granted what our parents do. It's not until we continue to grow and mature that we realize the sacrifice that our parents have made. And even then, we really don't understand the sacrifice that either our parents or another adult took, the interest, the investment they made in us. May not be a parent, maybe another adult. You don't necessarily really fully appreciate it until you are older and you're out there on your own. Do you really appreciate it? And sometimes we have to remember that when we are raising our own kids. Yet circling back is in that presence when you can create a moment of presence, a moment of mindfulness just to be you, sis. A moment where you're not being mom or as I call junior matriarch of the family, or being the CEO, the manager, the supervisor, the frontline worker, being the spouse, being the significant other, being the community volunteer. When you create a space where you can just be you, where it's just you and God to meet, for him to pour into you and for you to talk to him. It is in those moments that you can gain clarity. It is in those moments that you can gain replenishment. It's in those moments that you then can reconnect and be mindful of the blessings that God is pouring in you, even despite the storm that you may be in. And when you do that, then you can replenish, refresh, rearm yourself to get up. And when I say arm, I'm saying to gear yourself up with the courage, with the discernment, with the spiritual arming, like armor, and keep lifing. but lifing with a spirit of, I'm experiencing life. I'm experiencing the ups and downs because I can make it. Because you will hear me continually talk about living a life with intention, being mindful of what's going on, experiencing everything. That's how you find joy. That's how you can live life with the least amount of regrets because you're experiencing it. Because life will continue to happen, but you have to make that choice. You have to choose. If you want to live life just constantly reacting to everything, or if you want to create a life where you're living it with intention, with purpose, with meaning, and knowing that, yes, these things happen, but God's got you. It's about being resilient, the resilient women that we are, the resilient woman that you are, but based on intention because you know whose you are versus reacting. So I want you this week, sis. I want you to create moments of presence and mindfulness. Just pick one thing. And I'd really encourage you, if you ride a train, if you take the bus, if you walk to work, and if you're working from home, get away from the computer, get outside or go in another place in your apartment, your house, condo, wherever you are. Grab that cup of coffee or tea. You know, I'm a coffee drinker. So grab that tea, grab that cold brew, grab whatever it is that you like to get you going, the orange juice, the apple juice, whatever it is. And use that for the moment. Say that when I finish drinking my morning beverage, then I'll head on and start work. When you're in your car, sometimes it's just good to turn everything off. There's some days where I know I just have so much going on in my brain, I turn everything off because I just have too much going into my hard drive, my brain. So I turn everything off. I listen to the sounds of the cars. I listen to other sounds going on around me. Sometimes when I walk in the morning, I turn off what I'm listening to, take the AirPods out, and listen to the birds. Listen to the cars zipping by. Hear the wind blowing in the trees. I'm going to tell you something. It works. Even if it's at night after everyone's asleep or you're done for the day, just sit. Open a window and just listen to the night. If you're able, stop. Just look up at the stars. Just look up at the stars. If you live by the ocean, stop and look out on the ocean. I know that whenever I look at the ocean, I think about Although my problems at times can seem so big, or challenges seem so big, when I look at the ocean, I realize they're small in God's eyes. And God is bigger than all the trials and tribulation. And He's got me and He's got you. I love you and I see you. And I enjoy our time together every week. I hope if this has been helpful for you that you will like, subscribe, and even more, share with another resilient woman who could benefit from this. Again, I love you. I'm praying for you. Be present and mindful. And I'll see you next week here on the Resilient Woman Podcast. Talk to you soon. Bye.